Okay, so the newest really cool thing is that recently, for the past weeks, I have been able to induce OBEs consciously at will at about 100% success rate by intentionally instigating dialogue with what I call my inner layers, what other people might call the universe or the larger consciousness system or their soul or higher self. My OBEs have traditionally just in the beginning they just spontaneously began happening. I've never really done anything to instigate them myself, other than waking early and laying down to practice, which is really just laying there and being open and available to an experience happening. So I just sort of make myself available. But other than that, nothing. But 3 weeks ago, I had gotten up, normal time, tinkered around, came over to the practice space, laid down, and just something in me reached out and said, "Is there anyone here who has a message for me? Or has anything important that I need to know right now? I'm here to get my mail." It seemed like a fun thing to do, and it just sort of spontaneously happened, really. And think about doing it, I just all of a sudden did it. And moments later, I'm merged with, the change happens, and I'm in another reality. I'm usually placed in a few environments, and together, that's the message. That's my mail. I'm not always able to read the metaphor, the symbols. I may be able to get pieces of it and glean what that could possibly be trying to tell me. But generally it takes weeks and even months for it to sort of integrate, seep in, and things to happen here in my physical reality that are clearly, what I was being shown, and it sort of all starts to fall together. Sometimes the messages are really clear, like this morning. I've done this every morning for the past 5 days in a row. I started doing it like 3 weeks ago, and I sort of do it when I feel I have the energy to do it. Sometimes the energy to do that is not present, and so I just don't. But it's like the energy's building, that the momentum is building. Because literally every time I have done this, which is about 9 or 10 times now, save one time, I've gotten the message. I've been taken out of body into locations where I am seeing things and getting the message. This morning's message was super clear. And it's along the line of something, that I know, y'all know I'm a care worker, and that my current care client is, she's almost ready to make her transition. We don't know when it will actually happen. You never can tell. My dad, goodness save bless his soul, he, hung on to his last breath for 12 years. So, you just can't read what a person's going to do. But I'm just going to tell you briefly, because I really just want to focus in on the fact that this is happening rather than specific experiences. But I'm put in these places, mind you. Okay, so I'm put outside on a bicycle, and I'm riding this bicycle up the driveway here toward the garage. The garage opens up halfway, and I peek underneath there to see that the garage is empty. Pretty clear sign that I'm not going to be here for very much longer. Now it's empty, save one thing in particular that's not actually in it, which is a super long sofa running halfway down the middle sideways. And it's upholstered with the same material as my favorite wing chair, which was a meditation place for me for many, many years. My favorite thing that I've ever had. I usually don't keep things very long because I move around a lot. I had this chair for a lot of years and meditated in it for many, many years. And I, sit to meditate many times daily, even if it's just contemplating or just sitting there with my breath or whatever. And so there was a lot of juju in this chair. And the sofa was upholstered in the same material. I'm not really reading that sign too well. Miss Explorer, if you're here, help me out. You've been doing great for other people, I've noticed. Just an amazing gift you have. So anyway, at this point, I take my hands off of the steering wheel or the handlebars of the bicycle, and I say, okay, then where next? Sort of referring to the OBE and the other. And say, you drive. And so I start accelerating up into the air. Everything fades to black. And I'm placed in a few environments after this, which I'm not going to go into. My computer's already heating up, and I don't know. I don't want to lose this. So amazing. I want to suggest this to you all because if it's working for me in this regard, it can work for you as well. I mean, your inner layers are right there wanting to communicate with you. So if you're wanting to have OBEs and you actually have gone out of body before, gosh, I think that there's a really good chance that just instigating them in this way could bring experiences about for you as well. And the boon in this is that the relationship with that inner layer of your being really starts to develop. Just in the past week, I've noticed a huge development, a closeness in the communication, a reliability too, because my inner layer is showing me that when I instigate the dialogue with it, when I make myself available to collect my messages, that they actually are there waiting for me, and I can receive them, via OBEs. Sometimes I do clairvoyantly, get the images that appear in my mind's eye, super, super clear, like I'm there, but more like remote viewing than actually, being in specific locations. So it happens in many ways, but mostly through actually being there. In some phenomenal experiences recently. I'm noticing that as I continue doing this on a daily basis, and as this dialogue between me and my inner layer is developing, I'm more easily able to read the metaphor, the symbols I'm given, so that I can sort of decipher the message more clearly. I've got to tell you that the feeling from my inner layer that I feel, I mean, there's a very pleased, it's the same as when you're talking to anybody, that it's amazing when they actually do hear you, and the connection is actually more clear, more felt, more experienced, all of that. I can tell that there's that deep sense of being pleased, that this is happening, and it's definitely, here on my end as well. Last night, just before going to bed, I found myself, sort of putting out there that I would like for this to be able to take place on an ongoing, regular basis and never go away again, and that, and for me to be able to do it at any time during the day or night, to get messages. And I hear immediately, what would you do with that? What would I do with that gift? How would I bring that? How would I ground that here in this reality as a way of being able to help others? I couldn't immediately answer that in any sort of detail. I just went off into the night very, in a very pleasant way, openly wondering, what would I do with that? And I think that has, what I got this morning in my inbox had a lot to do with that. I mean, it's patterning it out. This afternoon in the shower, also very clear images of, what's coming next. We're coming out. So, just putting this through for now. And I'll keep everyone updated on how this continues patterning out.